Ngiyakhona, the podcast inspiring entrepreneurials in South Africa. Because if it's going to be, it's up to me.
Encourage every young person out there who or she's starting this journey of entrepreneurship, because it's not an easy one, but to actually look out for a mentor. And I was like, can you please kindly mentor me? There are no shortcuts in life,
Welcome, ladies and gents, boys and girls, to the podcast that is here to inspire you to be more entrepreneurial. Ngiyakhona. Because if it is going to be, it's up to me. And today we've got an exciting guest, which I can't wait to introduce you to. But before we even get there, I want to remind you guys to please like this video if you are enjoying it or if you've learned something, and comment if you can on YouTube. What inspired you at the end of this once you've is Sibongile Mongadi, who is an innovator and entrepreneur. And myself, your host, is welcoming you all and welcomes you too, Sibongile. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, and greetings to all your viewers and your listeners.
Awesome. Thanks. I mean, it's great to have you here.
It's always a pleasure.
Because you are, an entrepreneur and an innovator, and also founder of Uku'hamba, which is a company that 3D prints prosthetics for amputees and disabled people in South Africa, which is, I think, an innovation solving a problem that's very close to you. But I mean, how are you doing? Where did this idea come from? Why are we calling you an innovator?
Okay, just to add from what you said, indeed I serve as a founder of a startup company called Uku'hamba. Uku'hamba is actually an African word meaning mobility in English, and our motto actually says giving you a hand. And how I actually started this Uku'hamba, it was through a personal experience where I actually met an amputee, and an amputee was not able to access a prosthetic limbs in one of the health facilities in the south of Johannesburg. And for me, my understanding, if one has to consider himself or herself an entrepreneur, it means that you are able to identify the problem and come up with a solution. So where you see there's a problem, there's a gap, then you are able to also come up with an opportunity.
Sure.
So that's how I actually started this Uku'hamba.
So what was the problem there, if I can jump in? Like, what is the problem that you saw, and how did you see it as a solution?
Okay, it's for one, like an amputee was there in the hospital, and an amputee was not able to access this prosthetic limbs. And when I actually had to literally put myself in an amputee's shoes to say that yes, currently or today it might not be me, but what if it could be me or one of my loved ones? Then that's where I was like, okay, let me just for a minute put myself in his shoes and actually try to understand what is it. And then I was able to do so. And then the amputee was not able to access the prosthetic limbs, where I was able to ask, for how long have you been waiting for this prosthetic limbs? And then the amputee was saying it's more than 4 years of me being on the waiting list, and every time I'll be told story after another and whatnot. Then I was like, on that day, I was fortunate enough to also, speak to the orthopedic surgeon, who was also willing to help.
So the surgeon in the hospital, you went and so you saw the amputee,
yes.
And then you say, okay, let me also go speak to the surgeon.
Yes, to understand what's the cause of this. And I was fortunate enough where he actually took me to the workshop where they actually produced this, and then that's where I actually understood the traditional method of doing this and what's the problem that they're also faced with as a hospital on its own. Yes.
And then that's where you saw amputee waiting for 4 years, coming to the hospital, to the company.
Yes, because like my understanding is that when I'm ill or one of your loved ones not feeling well, when we go to the hospital, we need to get that health care. But little I knew that I also have a neighbor close by who's also faced with the very same problem, And when I actually now try to engage with this other amputee of my neighbor, then I found out that the same story relates. It's the same thing. The problem is that these prosthetics are not easily accessible, and also they're very expensive. So that's the other thing. But now with the public sector, the amputees are able to access these for free. but now we have lack of skills in that field. So that's how I actually...
So that was then the problem, and then you started the company to make these for many of these people that aren't getting served.
Yes.
Wow. And what's also very cool is when you said even before this business, even manje during COVID, you are innovating.
Yes.
And maybe not everyone knows what is innovating, but you said that during 2018 there was the water crisis in Cape Town. You were called in as well to be part of the problem solvers, to be part of the innovators.
Yes.
And your profile, of course, you've won to investors for this innovation, and it's changing people's lives. There's also pitches that you've gone and pitched to, like at the SA Innovation Summit, about this innovation. Confidence is an important part, right? When you're facing failure, when you're facing rejection, even when you go into an industry that you don't know.
Yes.
Because there isn't a course or a degree on how to start prosthetic 3D printing.
Exactly.
So you had the confidence to no, I can actually learn to do this or do this.
Yes.
I'm going to collect the partners. I'm going to connect with investors. And you said it started when you were young, because you were challenging things and you were getting involved.
Yes.
What drove you to get involved, and where did that mindset come from? Because I don't think, of course, not everyone questions everything and wants to get involved in everything. Do you think that's something, like when did that start? What's the earliest that you saw that, and where would it come from?
Okay, I think back then when I was still a child, I also did not understand it, but also I was fortunate enough because I was raised by both self-employed parents and uneducated parents. But one thing that I actually love about my parents, that they've always been supportive parents throughout my journey till today. Even now when one looks back and say, okay, I know now in the absence of my late dad, but if somehow, for some reason, if my dad was still alive, I know even today maybe he would be here with me. So that's how I actually grew up there, with that support at home. So back then, yes, I did not understand it, but I was just that child who would be, you can say, problematic, if you have to put it that way, but I was just like that. But to be honest, I think that from my upbringing, for the fact that my parents also supported me throughout, so that's how one was able to actually grow this confidence. Hence, even today, I can tell you can tell me something that cannot be done, it's fine. But when I go home, I'll make sure that I'll work through it throughout the night if I have to, just to get it right.
Having someone who supports you and says you can, who believes in you. You said that's something that was important for you, and that's what your parents do. Are there other people that gave that to you, that remind you when you think about why you're an innovator and why you're disrupting industries, that come to mind?
Yes, like I said, yes, my parents were very supportive until today. And then now I do have other people that are also out of family that are also very much supportive. I would also encourage every young person out there who or she's starting this journey of entrepreneurship, because it's not an easy one, but to actually look out for a mentor, someone who would feel like you're so much safe, and someone who can withdraw your inspiration from and learn from. So with me on that space, I was, at first, I remember when I actually, I was still not sure, trying to figure it out in terms of entrepreneurship and whatnot in 2016. And then I had the likes of Mrs. Mapifo Anna from Pongo, the CEO of TITA.
Okay.
Yes.
TITA is?
Transport Education or Training Authority.
Transport Education Training Authority.
Yes.
So you identified, she approached you, you approached her?
I approached her. I remember there was one of the conference that was held in the Vaal, and she was one of the speakers, and Ms. Tamin Gubeni from News Africa Room was also part of the speakers. Then I actually had to ask her, can we actually exchange contact number? Then she actually gave me her business card. And then from there, I was able to actually be in communication with her. Then I remember the first thing that one did, I was like, okay, I'm just going to get straight to the point. And I was like, can you please kindly mentor me, And then...
So you called, or did you guys have a meeting? How did that happen? Because I know, like, young people, even me, I made that mistake. How to build a mentorship relationship, and to approach, to have that confidence. So, like, how did you do it? Did you call? Did you meet up? What was going through your head when you were trying to meet and get their contact details?
Okay, just to answer you, I was also very scared. Because like I've tried this more than once. It was not the first time me approaching someone and asking the person to be my mentor,
Okay.
So what happened, it was like, okay, saying like this week, that's where I got the business card from my people. But what happened is like 2 weeks after, then I was like, okay, let me make use of this contact, then that's where I started, and I looked at this business card. I was not sure what to do. I was nervous, thinking that maybe she would reject my call or saying that she's busy and whatnot. So what I actually did, I was like, okay, I'm not going to call. I'm just going to do a WhatsApp text, But in that WhatsApp text, I actually drafted everything that I wanted to say, like on a piece of paper. Then I was able to, edit everything on the WhatsApp. And I made it to look like formal as much as it can be, Then I sent it to her via WhatsApp. And then for a minute, I saw her logging on. And then I saw that it's written online. Then the next offline, then I was like, this one.
I messed it up.
That was it, But to be honest, little I knew that she was actually still in a meeting, And then after 45 minutes to an hour, she actually got back to me. She replied and she apologized to say that, sorry about that, I was still in a meeting, I was sharing a meeting and all that. And your message is well received and noted. Yes, I will, I will mentor. For a minute, I thought, no, she's just kidding. I had to actually ask again. Then she was like, yes, I will, and then, sorry about that. Then that's where I actually started this thing of mentorship. And for that fact that she's one of the people that are in the high position, executive of a company, then that's where I was able to actually try to learn from her, especially in the leadership qualities and those kind of things. So that's what I actually started the journey with Mema Pifu. And then from the mentorship, then I also started to say that for the fact, like now, I'm finding my confidence, in this game. Then I actually started an initiative in my area, in my township in Soweto, that was called Soweto Young Women Empowerment. So then Mrs. Mapifu was so much involved in that. So what would actually do, I actually wanted, like I was creating a path for other young female leaders to actually come and rise, let them also have these platforms, share their stories, and so that's what I was doing in 2016 and 2017.
What would you want to advise to the 16-year-old you for their future?
Here's the story of my life. When I was actually at high school, I actually had another sister who was like 2 grades, if not mistaken, ahead of me. And she's known as Dumazile Ngwenya. So what would happen at school every year, they will be like announcing the top achievers at school. And this woman will always be on that list, for second place. And I still remember this one day, I was like, okay, hi. And then she was like, hi. Then I was like, I don't know you, but I just heard when Mrs. Cooper and Mr. Sauls and them, they're calling you, is your name Dumazile? Then she was like, yes. And I was like, okay, I think you are my role model, And then she laughed and said, thank you. But I was like, okay, I just want to know, like, how do you do it? Like every year, every term, you are on that list of top achievers, So the lesson that till today that I actually took from her, it's that there are no shortcuts in life, Everything that you do, always put in the work. So with me, whatever that I've achieved by far, it's all through my hard work, And she has always been that a person with a positive impact, saying that always put in the work and trust the process. So this would be my words to young people out there. Let's put in the work and trust the process.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Fantastic. Stay inspired and be entrepreneurial. Follow us on social media and find us on WhatsApp. Nam ngiyakhona.